The untouchable True School Sports Empire proudly presents something the boxing game has been missing. Hey, what's going on? It's your boy BT, and we are live once more with Pops. And right now it is currently 4:01 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, and it's always a great day when we're live here on True School Sports. We got a great show for you guys. I think we're going to answer some questions today in an objective fashion. By the way, we're not going to get too emotional. We're going to answer this in objective fashion, and it should be fun. Pops, how you feeling today? You good?
Yeah, I'm good, man. Anytime we come talking boxing, you already know I'm a boxing addict, so bring it on.
There you have it. So before we get into the whole topic about Devin Haney, I actually wanted to take this time to address something. But before I address that as well, please, for the 5 of you that are here, smash that like button, leave your comments down below, take the time to subscribe, all that good stuff. But I wanted to take this time because recently I dropped an interview with Deontay Wilder's strength and conditioning coach, Mr. Joey Scott. It's been getting a pretty good response so far. And it's funny because, over the weekend, I got some messages from Deontay Wilder's team. I got some messages from his conditioning coach and some friends of Wilder's. And before that interview even dropped, people were advising me to not drop the interview. They didn't want me to drop the interview. His team actually asked me to not drop the interview because of my reputation for being a quote-unquote Deontay Wilder hater. But as I've said many times before here on True School Sports, I don't hate Deontay Wilder. I think people get that misconstrued because sometimes I get a bit passionate and I exaggerate my opinions and whatnot. But basically what wound up happening was I posted the interview even though they asked me not to, because I knew that it didn't come from a bad place. And I knew that it was one of the best interviews that I've ever did. And I knew that in that interview, it was actually going to be a benefit to them and not a hindrance. So I just let it drop. I didn't say anything to him. His coach actually wound up calling me and messaging me back saying that it was a great interview. And in the interview, we had a great conversation. We're on good terms now. The interview itself with Deontay Wilder, strength and conditioning coach, it actually wound up getting back to Deontay Wilder himself. And Deontay Wilder himself watched the interview and he thought it was a great interview. So, I was fair with this coach. I was fair with this team, and it's worked out very well. And I'm not going to make any false promises. I'm not going to make any, false claims. But I talked to his coach, and I did throw the idea out there of doing a Deontay Wilder interview in the future. And he said that that's something he's going to look into doing and getting done for the channel. So it's great because something that started off as a negative that people thought was going to be a negative has now worked into a massive positive for the untouchable True School Sports Empire.
That's actually good news. I mean, you can't always, judge a book by its cover. Here in True School Sports, like we say things the way we say. You call it a spade. But then we're just talking boxing, trying to keep it as real as we can. We realize that not everybody's going to go ahead and agree with us, but the majority understand that it's not always going to be a happy place, but it's going to be something we have to talk about. So I'm very happy that one of your biggest people on
one of the guys people say I hate the most. I gave him a fair opportunity and it's worked out.
And
so
his strength conditioning coach came through, and thank you to him and to Deontay Wilder's team to take the time and give you that time to be able to do what you did.
Yeah. So I'm just for the 6 years that are here, be on the lookout for that. There will be I believe in the future there probably will be a Deontay Wilder interview on True School Sports. When? I don't know. I'm not so sure, but I believe that it will happen in the future. And I think when it does happen, it's going to be one of the best interviews I ever did. Much like I thought this one was pretty good as well.
Yeah.
Okay, but we're not going to waste any more time with you guys. One more thing I want to say before we get to the topic of this video is that Saturday we will be live. You will get a live fight reaction for David Benavidez versus Romero Angulo, and you will probably get a live fight reaction for some of the other cards this week. I think you have a Jessica McCaskill versus Cecilia Breakers as well. I'm not sure what the dates are right now. I'll have to check after this live and schedule them out accordingly. But you're going to get multiple live fight reactions this week. So be on the lookout for that. Those are always fun. We always have a great time doing them here on True School Sports. Hold on. Put that light here because you're a bit dark over there, Pops. But let's just get to it, man. The topic of today's video. This is the reason you guys are here. This is the reason why I'm sure you guys are watching. The topic of today's video is Devin Haney. How good of a fighter is he? How good is he? Because Look, I want to preface everything I'm going to say by saying I do like Devin Haney. I've been following. In fact, I've probably been following Devin Haney longer than most people out there that are fans of him now. I've been following Devin Haney ever since like 2014 when he started making waves in the boxing world and he started promoting himself on social media. Real Devin Haney TV, the vlogs, all that stuff. But now with him being awarded the WBC belt because Lomachenko became the franchise champion, his fans, or fanboys, I should say, they have taken what's happened, the situation that's happened, and they have exaggerated it to suit their narrative. So they say, oh, well, he became franchise champion. Lomachenko's fighting Teofimo Lopez. He's ducking Devin Haney. This guy's ducking Devin Haney. That guy's ducking Devin Haney. I was even talking to my boy Alex last night, and he was he went on a bit of a troll session. He was trolling me last night, and he was saying that Devin Haney is the most ducked and avoided fighter at 135. So I just wanted to explore at this point. Let's objectively try to answer this question. All right. Let's objectively try to answer this question right now on August 11th, 2020, 4:07 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. How good is Devin the Dream Haney? Okay. How good is he? Well, before I get into just some facts about him and what I think about him, I'll swing it over to Pops. Pops, I mean, how good do you think Devin Haney actually is as a fighter?
To me, I like the talent I see in the ring. I like his boxing skill. I like his boxing hunger. I like the fact that he actually wants to be another quote unquote or be better than TBE Floyd Mayweather. So I mean, he's got a lot of inspirations. He accomplished a lot. He became one of the youngest promoters in boxing. He also was one of the youngest, I guess, with the title holder he got. So he's got a lot of things going for him. Just recently he came out and said, he gave himself the name, the Duck Hunter.
The Duck Hunter, yeah.
Quack, quack, quack.
Because he said these guys don't want no smoke.
Yeah, so I mean, if you look at that page that he put out on Instagram or whatever it was, he put it out. He's basically saying, you know what, I want all the top dogs. I want the Lomachenkos, Garcias, the Teofimos, the Tank Davises, and so forth and so forth. I want them all. That's what he says. But what he says and what he's done to get to his position, it's another topic in itself. But without further ado, respect to him and his dad. We're just here talking boxing. That's
facts. Absolutely. I mean, look, Devin Haney, I think there's definitely a good foundation there for him to go on and become a great fighter. I think that he is one of the youngest, brightest talents in boxing. But does that mean he's this complete fighter? Does that mean he has already became this pound for pound star that some people are treating him as? Absolutely not. This kid has a long way to go. I know he has a belt. He was awarded the belt. So in my eyes, with my 4 eyes, my big ass lenses, he's not. I don't look at him right now as a legitimate world champion, because he hasn't beat anybody as a legitimate world champion. But let's take the time to kind of not. We won't just make this an opinion video. We're gonna look at how did Devin Haney actually get to this point in his career? How did he get here? That's what we need to look at. Okay,
his accomplishments, his work, or how?
How did he get to becoming who he is right now at 21 years old? Okay, well, when we talk about Devin the Dream Haney, we're talking about somebody who is 21 years old. He's very young. He's younger than me by 4 years. Mm-hmm. He is 24-0 with 15 KOs. He's got more wins. Even though what's funny about him is even though he's younger than everybody in the weight class, he's got more wins than some of the top guys. He's got more fights than Lomachenko, even though they're not against top guys. He's got more fights than Teofimo Lopez, even though they're not against top guys. So there's something to be said about that, having that many fights at that young age, even if he's fighting cab drivers. It's still something. He didn't go to the Olympics. He didn't go to the Olympics at all because if you may remember, and what's funny was I was reading an article about him today, and I just remember this myself. Like I had forgotten about this myself. The reason he didn't go to the Olympics was because the Olympics made a rule where you had to be 19 to box, and he was I think he was about 16 going on 17. So he didn't want to wait all that time to just be an Olympian. So he decided to go the professional route. That's what kind of started his career. Yeah. Otherwise, he would have been an Olympian and he would have went that route and done the whole 9 yards and maybe probably got a medal and maybe his career winds up differently. But a very accomplished amateur was Devin Haney. It was a very accomplished amateur. When we talk about Devin Haney, 130 wins and only 8 losses in the amateurs. Wow. We talk about some of the guys he's beaten. If you're up in your boxing, you know these names. If you're up in your boxing, you know these names. He went 3-3 against Ryan Garcia in the amateurs. They had some competitive fights in the amateurs, and many people think that's going to be like a super fight in the pros once they
Get it together.
Get it together. You know, you have, but here are some names he beat. He beat Nikita Abibi, who's, you know, many of us know signed to the zone. Solid fighter. He beat Duke Reagan from North Carolina, who just signed with Top Rank yesterday. Solid fighter. He beat Michael Dutchover, who just headlined on the Thompson Boxing
last week,
a couple weeks ago. He actually lost a split decision to Ruben Villa. So Ruben Villa is a good name. He beat Ryan Garcia. You know, he beat some good names. So the guy's a well-accomplished amateur, and had that rule never been in place in the Olympics, he might have actually, you know, been an Olympian. I think he was actually a favorite to be an Olympian.
Right.
So, you know, you can't look at his amateur record and scoff at it and say, oh, well, this guy was just a whatever amateur. He was fantastic.
Right.
And if anybody who was following boxing, like really hardcore at that time, that was up on who the top amateurs were, you were hearing about Devin Haney's name at that time.
Yeah.
His name was bubbling. Okay. Now, I'll say this about Devin Haney, okay? One thing I really do admire about his career, the number one thing I admire about his career, if we're just being honest, is that, you know, he bet on himself. Like I feel like me and Devin Haney are actually very similar in a way.
Mm-hmm.
He was very young. He knew what he wanted, and he went after it, and he bet on himself. So what I mean by that is, you know, he was a well-accomplished amateur, which means that in the amateur system, he had other well-accomplished friends in the amateurs. His friends, a lot of his friends, they kind of took the short money, and they did the traditional thing. They signed with the promoter, and they get on TV, and they got the instant gratification of that.
Right.
But Devin Haney, you know, he didn't want to just forfeit all of his power out the gate to a system that has failed thousands of fighters before him.
Right.
So what he did was he found a loophole. He turned pro in Mexico. He built his record up, even though he didn't fight nobody in Mexico. And this gave him actually good experience. Maybe the opponents he didn't fight were good, but if you go and read some articles about him, you know, he was actually in some hostile environments, fighting in bars, people calling him a puto. Mm-hmm. He's a 16, 17-year-old kid. People calling him a puto. They want to throw things at him. They're spitting at him. You know, these were the things that were happening in Mexico as he was a young kid. And this actually prepared him for what was to come later. And I think for him, I look at what he's doing in a way kind of similar to what I'm doing, because just for those of you who don't know me personally, like when I got out of high school, when I was at a young age, I knew what I wanted. Like I knew I wanted to be involved in sports in some way. I knew I was good at like writing about sports, and I had a decent mouthpiece, and I kind of worked. I had to work to develop that talent, but I knew I had something.
Exactly.
And I went after it, and it wasn't the most conventional thing. I didn't go to college route, but I think now, years later, it's slowly beginning to pay off for me. So it's kind of the same thing with Devin Haney. He bet on himself, and now he's to a point where, okay, yeah, he was gifted a belt. We acknowledge that, but he's going to be involved in some big fights soon. You know, he's got from what I don't know what the exact numbers are, but he seems to be pretty well compensated by Eddie Hearn and Matchroom Boxing. I mean, think about it. How many like he doesn't really have to do much work, because like most guys who signed to Matchroom Boxing that are like 20-0 or 22-0, you know, nobody knows who they are, but people knew who this kid was because he used social media. He had this infatuation with social media. He saw a vision, and his dad. I mean, shout out to OG Bill. Bill, for those you probably don't even know this about Bill. Bill used to work in the music industry. Wow. Bill worked with Aaliyah and one of your favorites, Too Short.
Wow.
Yeah. So he's got experience with that, and I just think his career is in a very good place now. That's the positives of it. Okay. The negatives of it is I still do have those questions of, you know, Devin got a lot of fame really quickly. You know, he's pretty much, you know, in some circles a celebrity, depending on who you talk to. And sometimes that's a lot to handle for a young kid. So I have those questions of, can he handle the spotlight when it gets bigger and bigger and bigger? And so far, so good.
Well, like I said, one of the things I really like about him is his hunger to succeed and be the best at what he does. And being a promoter, making himself a promoter, that speaks for itself and his volumes for him to be able to do that and accomplish it while he's still fighting in the ring. It's a great thing for him, and I think he's hungry. His work ethic, we can't talk bad about his work ethic now. What we have to see is what quality of opponents has he fought in his record that you just talked about.
Okay, we'll get to that in a second.
Okay.
We're gonna go ahead. Continue.
And basically, what I'm saying is, he could be one of those upcoming stars. But to me, to legitimize that, to get to that level, he's got to, for me, so to speak, he got to
step up.
Yeah, step up and fight somebody out of the norm. That's in high, in the top level fighters in his competition to prove what he's really all about.
Absolutely. Now, when we get into the professional record, what has Devin Haney done? Not in the amateurs, but the professional ranks of boxing. We're talking 24 fights. We're talking 15 KOs. Okay. Now, there are some names that I do recognize on his resume. Okay, because I'm very up my boxing. I'm very astute when it comes to this boxing thing. Juan Carlos Burgos. I would say the three most recognizable names on his resume are Mason Menard, Carlos Burgos, and Antonio, and either Zaur Abdullah or Antonio Moran. Those are the most notable names on his resume. Those are not top creme de la creme type of fighters. Those guys I wouldn't even say are like, high level contenders. These are guys that, to be honest with you, were guys that couldn't get it done against other big name fighters. Yeah. Burgos fought Mikey Garcia. He lost Mikey Garcia. Mason Menard fought Ray Beltran in a world title fight. So he's a former world title challenger. Got folded up by Ray Beltran. Then he later, after Devin Haney fought him, he fought Teofimo Lopez. Teofimo Lopez hit that boy so hard. I mean, he made him do the Heisman.
Yeah. So I mean, like I said, he's got to fight the top tier guys here to actually people to make a believer out of us, because we already know he believes in himself, of what type of quality fighter he really is. And that's not taken away from his work ethic and his hunger, because we know what he brings to the table. But that being said, it's got to be proven in the ring.
Now, let's talk about Devin Haney's skill set. This is actually probably the main thing I wanted to talk about, more so than his resume or the business side of his career. I wanted to talk about his skill set, because I think when we look at Devin Haney, like the foundations of him as a fighter, I think from a foundational standpoint, what I mean when I say foundations, I mean like what are his God-given abilities? Does he have good fundamentals? These type of things. Does he have those things? When we look at the foundation of Devin Haney, I actually think foundationally speaking, he's probably the best out of the young American fighters. Because if you look at a guy like, let's say, Shakur Stevenson, he's got exceptional boxing ability. Probably the best boxing, probably the most technically sound young American, fighter who has a lot of hype out of anybody. But he don't really have that world-class power. Mm-hmm. He's got respectable power, but not world-class power.
Right.
We look at Teofimo Lopez. He got world-class athleticism. He's got good boxing ability, but does he have great boxing ability? I'm not so sure. I don't think he does. I think he's above average. I don't think it's like great. Mm-hmm. I think with Devin Haney, he if he puts it all together, he could be a guy where he has that perfect blend of speed and power. The only thing I see with Devin Haney that he needs to correct, and this video might get back to Devin because I know his dad is on YouTube. I know he's on YouTube. So respect you guys. Does not come from a place of hatred. Yeah. But I think the only thing Devin has to correct to really take him to that next level in his skill set is going to be his balance.
Wow. I
think if his balance gets to an elite level, he's going to be a very difficult guy to beat, because one thing I love about Devin Haney, and I say the same things about even like a Sneesa Estrada.
Yeah.
These are fighters that fight with a big imagination.
Exactly.
They can punch you from different angles. They can punch you going backwards. They can punch you going forwards. He can fight you on the inside. He can fight you at mid-range. He can fight you on the outside. He's shown these things in these fights. But I just think sometimes, especially when he's throwing punches going backwards, he has this tendency to fall off balance. Okay. And I think a more experienced fighter, like a guy like Lomachenko, a guy who could turn him, who could step to the outside, who can really make him have to fight in positions that he don't want to fight in, that's where he can become unstuck. So that's probably the one thing I could see when I watch him fight that really needs work.
Okay, so that's good. That's good. Not every boxer always has got some type of skill they got to work on. And for you, that's a good observation what you're saying about him. But that being said, I think he would be one tough customer to any of the top contenders that are in his weight class right now, to be honest.
Absolutely. Now, another thing with Devin Haney is that he's been somebody that has worked with a lot of trainers in his career. He's worked with Mike McCallum. He's worked with, I think, Roy Jones at one point. He worked with him. I don't think Roy Jones actually trained him, but I know he spent days at his gym. He's worked with Mayweather Sr. He's worked with a lot of guys. And, it is good to be a student of the game. Devin Haney is a student of the game. But I would like to see him. You know who I like to see him work with more than anybody? And he's someone that me and you know very well. I actually think this guy would take him to I think he would take Devin Haney from being a guy that we think could be great to a guy who's just actually great. Mm-hmm. That guy is Sugar Hill Stewart. ever since me and you
Wow.
ever since me and you saw Sugar Hill Stewart in the gym working with fighters, seeing how he's actually improved some fighters we know personally.
Yeah.
I would love to see what like a Sugar Hill Stewart, Devin Haney like partnership would be like.
Yeah.
Because the one thing that Devin Haney, the one thing I really feel like he needs to correct to go to that next level is his balance. And the one thing I know Sugar Hill Stewart preaches about more than anything else and works with fighters on is balance. And
So it'll be a plus.
it would be a massive plus. He's the kind of fighter, he's the kind of trainer that I think would turn Devin Haney into a multi-million-dollar, undeniable pay-per-view superstar. That's what I believe.
Yeah, I mean, and I mean, he like you said, he's what's his name?
Sugar Hill.
Sugar Hill has done a lot with a little time that I've seen with a lot of fighters. And one of the things that he's very detail oriented about everything. I love his style of teaching, and I think that if Haney got somebody like that behind him, it'll be a big, massive help for him, and it'll be another thing in his toolbox to have somebody like that can teach him things that some people might not take it as being important, but it's one of the most important things, balance, and he will teach him other things too. I mean, but he's a good teacher is what I like about Sugar Hill. And that's not taking away from anything that Devin Haney has done, because he wouldn't be successful if he didn't have his dad beside him and doing that, and all the other coaches and trainers have been there, and even TVE being there. But I think Sugar Hill, the way he teaches people about that balance, like he's so detail oriented, it's crazy. But he's not. You could talk to him.
You can talk to him.
Yeah.
Like you're not gonna have to worry about Sugar Hill slapping you. I mean, he might if you piss him off, but but he's got a way of getting his points across without having to yell at the fighters, which I think is what the great trainers do. Like what's his name, Eddie Futch and guys like that. So what I also want to ask you, Dad, is so now Devin Haney has developed a reputation as being the boogeyman at 135. Do you buy into that at all? Do you think people are scared or reluctant to fight Devin Haney?
Not. I don't think it one bit. As a matter of fact, I said because he's his own promoter, he can actually make this fight faster than another boxer going through the manager or so forth or whatever, because he can promote the fights and do what you got to do. So, really, the question is, how bad does Haney want to fight these top dogs? I mean, how bad does he want to do it? Because I mean, he can promote any fight he wants to promote. Let's get real. I mean, let's give him talk where he come from. He's got his promoting company. He's done what he's done, so he can make these fights a lot faster than any other fighters. So I think, for me, I don't think he's the boogeyman of the division. Not by any close. I think he'd be a great. He's one of the. He can be one of the top fighters in the division, but he's got to show me first what a true quality fighter, what he's all about.
Okay, well, you know I'm like very well plugged into the boxing world. There's some things I hear a lot of things sometimes about certain fights. So there are things that I'm hearing about Lomachenko Lopez that I'm not going to say on camera, that are different than what's being reported in the media. But if what's being reported in the media is 100% true, it looks like Lopez might actually duck Lomachenko. Have you heard the newest developments today?
Nah.
They were saying that Lomachenko actually had $800,000. He took $800,000 from his purse and was going to give it to Lopez just to meet his demand so they could fight.
Respect to Lomachenko. I mean,
so maybe we had Lomachenko all wrong all along. So massive respect to him.
Yeah.
But if Lopez doesn't fight him for whatever reason, do you think Lomachenko will be reluctant to fight Devin Haney?
I don't.
If that becomes a possibility.
I mean, why would he? I mean, Devin Haney's been calling out for a minute, and one of the biggest things with Lomachenko is you got to have a title. A belt to even come into my office, and he's got a belt, so it doesn't matter how Haney got it. Why not? I would love to see that. I mean, that would be a true test for Devin Haney, and it would literally gain more respect through the boxing community.
Credibility.
Credibility. He actually stepped up and fought somebody like Lomachenko, and he's got the power to say yes or no. But kudos to what you was talking about Lomachenko. I got to respect that. Absolutely.
Shout out to Lomachenko. Now, just taking a quick look at the top 10 at 135, because this is the weight class that Denny Haney holds a title with. This is the weight class he occupies. You have your elites like Lomachenko, Lopez, them guys. But then after that, you have guys like Richard Comey, Luke Campbell, Ryan Garcia, Robert Easter Jr., Javier Fortuna, Jorge Linares, Emmanuel Ortega, and Rance Bartholomew. So we know it was just reported today that Luke Campbell and Ryan Garcia have agreed in principle to a fight. because they had the purse bid today between Matchroom and Golden Boy.
Right.
These two are more than likely gonna fight in November, so they're off the table. So scratch those two. Okay. We know that Lomachenko and Lopez are more than likely they're negotiations still. They might fight, they might not. We don't know. Take those two off the table. Okay. Of these guys in the top 10, you got Comey, you got Robert Easter Jr., you got Fortuna, who was supposed to fight Linares, but that's not happening now. So you got Easter, Fortuna, Comey, Emmanuel Tego, Rancy Bartholomew, and we even throwing Felix Verdejo, even though he's not in the top 10.
Okay.
How do you think he fares against all those guys? We'll go one by one. You start with Richard Comey. How would Devin Haney match up with Richard Comey?
I think despite Richard Comey's loss to Teofimo, I think that this will be a hard fight for me personally. I think that Comey can bring it to him and test him in waters that Haney hasn't gone before. I think it would be a great fight for him to get in there. It
would certainly be a step up. Comey's he's battle tested at the world championship level. He's been world champion. He's someone that would definitely, if he could land. The thing is, I don't know if he can land on Devin Haney because I don't know if he's quick enough or intelligent enough to land on Devin Haney. He's a bit basic at times. But if he can land on Devin Haney, he can test that durability. So I think that'd be a good fight for Devin Haney if they want to look into that. But I think he'd be Richard Comey. How about Robert Easter Jr.? I know you're not big on him.
I'm definitely taking Haney. I'm not even going to talk about it. He disappointed me his last fight when he fought my boy Granados. I think Granados boxing.
Well, I don't even know why. I don't even know why Ring has him in the 135 range because technically he's a 40-pounder.
Right.
So
I'm just saying.
Forget Easter.
Yeah.
Forget Easter. Javier Fortuna.
What I've seen from him, every time I saw him, he's either falling out the ring, having some type of controversy or something. So I will take Haney over him.
Okay, and how about Jorge Linares?
He's too old to handle a young, Haney, a hungry dog like Haney.
And you don't know anything about Emmanuel Tego. I'll talk about Emmanuel Tego. I think Emmanuel Tego, if Devin Haney said he was going to fight Emmanuel Tego right now, I'm sure a lot of people will criticize it, but I think that would actually be the perfect fight for him right now. Tego, a tough, rugged contender. He's hungry. He's from Ghana. He's somebody that is well experienced. He's well traveled. He gets great sparring here in South Florida. He's regularly sparring guys like Xander Zayas, George Cambosos, and Amir Imam here at Sweatbox Gym in Davie. And from what I hear from people that I know in that gym, I hear he does exceptional in those sparring sessions. I know sparring sessions is different than fights, but he ain't in them top 10 rankings for no reason. He's got to be there for some reason. He got to be somewhat competent of a pro. He's got to be somewhat competent of a professional fighter being in the top 10 rankings. So
and the Ring Magazine put it there. It's got to be a reason.
Yeah. So I mean, I wouldn't mind Emmanuel Tego. That would be an all right fight. And then the last two are Rancy Bartholomew and Felix Verdejo.
Oh my God, Felix Verdejo too. Jesus Christ. Bartholomew,
he had that fight Robert Easter last year.
Yeah, I like him, but I just don't. Let me not judge him from what I say. He doesn't excite me. Neither one of them really excite me a lot, to be honest with you. And I think Haney will run over him. That's my opinion on that. Verdejo, now we're talking something different. You know, I'm not being biased because I'm a Puerto Rican fighter, but I think Verdejo will give him a run for his money. I think he will, but I'm quite sure people are going to will pick Haney over him. I mean, he's a lot quicker, a lot faster. He's very technical and everything, but I like Verdejo. I'm going to have to be biased on this one. And I see Verdejo coming up, so I'm going to have to take Verdejo, but don't count Haney out.
Yeah, man. So, look, there's definitely hella matches out there for Devin Haney. Just being objective, like just being straight objective, I think I know, like I've talked to my man, and I see him in the comments asking for the link. They ain't got no links today, guys. This is gonna be a short one because I have to get out of here soon.
Yeah.
But whatchamacallit? I think the Lomachenko fight, like I told P Boxing, and I've said in lives before, I think for Devin Haney, that's a bad fight for him right now. I think a year or two more will be good for him because it will allow him to settle in more, get that man strength, get stronger, get bigger, and then I think he's beating Lomachenko at the perfect time. And who knows? Because I think Teofimo's going to beat Lomachenko if they do fight.
Right.
You know, I'm going to stick with my pick if they fight.
I got him myself. I got him to win, and I've always said that. But I mean, getting back to Lomachenko and Haney, you got to keep in mind as time is going by. Lomachenko's not a young.
No, he's got a lot of wear and tear on the body. A lot of wear and tear on that body when it comes to the sport of boxing.
I mean, the skills are there and everything is there, but time. Grandfather time is gonna. Father time's gonna catch up to you, and then Lomachenko even said he's gonna go back down to whatever weight he wants to get into. But I think that people even said that Lomachenko is not what he was 2 or 3 years ago, even though he's one of the best based on skills. He's one of the top skills, and we got to take him for that. But as time goes on, I don't think that that Lomachenko can hang with the young bucks coming out sooner or later.
Okay, yeah, man. I love this comment right here. This is hilarious. LA12 says Devin Haney is the next Tevin Farmer.
Oh wow!
I don't know about all that. I think he's a better fighter than Tevin Farmer.
Yeah.
But, if you could explain why in the comments, that'd be great. That'd be great.
Yeah, I can't put him in that level with Farmer. Even I think Devin Haney. I think it's do better than the Farmer. I think he will, expectation wise, and be more successful, if not already, for what he's done. Yeah,
well, like I'll ask you this, Dad. So like, let's just say all these young guys are at their best. Even though he's more at 130, he's gonna be at 35 someday. So we're gonna say Shakur Stevenson, we're gonna say Teofimo Lopez, we're gonna say Ryan Garcia, we're gonna say Devin Haney, and we're even gonna say Rolly because he's at 135 too.
Wow, yeah.
All these guys at their best. Where do you think Devin Haney stacks up? So Shakur, Fimo, Haney, Rolly, and I think Ryan Garcia. Yeah, I'm 5.
I would have to put him either. I'm putting him second or third.
Who do you have above Devin Haney? At their best. I'm not talking now. I'm talking about he puts it all together. He's the best version of himself. Where do you think he's going to fall?
I'm still going to say he's going to fall. Because you said he's better than Rolly.
I said Rolly. I said Shakur Stevenson. I said you got him. You got Teofimo Lopez. And you got Ryan Garcia. You got them 5.
Okay. My order would be, when you just told me, I would put, I like a lot of Shakur. And I like a lot of Teofimo. I would put Shakur. I'm just going for Shakur, Teofimo, and what was the other 2?
Rolly and Ryan Garcia.
No, I'll put him third.
So he's gonna be in the middle of the package. So you got him over Ryan and Rolly.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Yeah. I think. Look, I'll be honest with you. I'm from South Florida, so I'm gonna be a bit. I can be a bit biased. I love Teofimo Lopez, but I think the best young American fighter out of everybody. I don't care if you say he's boring. I don't care if you say he's corny. I don't care if you say he's got an ugly girlfriend or anything like that. Okay. Shakur Stevenson to me is hands down the most talented and the most exceptional young American fighter all around that weight of those guys. Mm-hmm. I think he's gonna be number 1. Okay. All right. I think when the smoke clears, he's gonna be number 1. Okay. I think number 2 is gonna be Teofimo. Okay. I like Teofimo. Gordo, South Florida, extremely talented. The crazy thing with Teofimo is I don't even think he's shown as good as he is yet. I don't think he's been able to actually show how good he is as a fighter. Right. Nobody's really, like, people say, oh, Teofimo can't box. He's just a big weight bully. But there hasn't been anybody in that ring except Nakatani, who did outbox. That's had to make him dig into that bag of tricks to show that boxing skills. So I think he'll be 2. But you know who I actually think is going to challenge for the 2 spot?
Who's that?
And people, this is a controversial topic.
I know you're gonna say. I know you're gonna say.
What name do you think is gonna come out of my mouth?
Man has been calling out.
What name do you think is coming?
Ryan Garcia for a minute when we first came into the boxing scene. Let's talk. Now he's going for a title in a few weeks.
Let's talk about this weekend. Let's talk about Rolando Amiro. Listen, Rolly's a kid. Let's talk about Rolly for a second because look, this kid started boxing a lot later in the sport than Devin Haney or Ryan Garcia or Shakur, any of these guys.
I would tell you one thing that he has.
What does he have?
And it's pretty strong. And I think other than Teofimo's power, he's got a powerful punch, even better than Devin Haney.
Yeah, no, he
can hit. So don't sleep on him.
And he's getting better as a fighter. Like I've been watching him training and stuff, and I think Rolando Amiro has got solid defense. He's got Listen, that kid has got world class power. He's got some shit you can't teach, and he's got some dog. He's got some serious dog in him. Yeah. Rolly's gonna be a problem. Nobody's talking about Rolly right now. I know he's fighting Saturday. He's fighting Jackson Martinez for the.
And not to cut you off, BT. we just was watching recently in interview that he had.
Watched the whole long interview about Rolly.
Mexican channels, and Rolly was saying that one of the reporters asked him, like, literally asked him, like, hey, Rolly, do you think are you still chasing the Ryan Garcia fight? And Rolly says, why should I? I'm already accomplishing more than Ryan Garcia. I'm going for a title fight this coming weekend. What does Ryan Garcia got? So what I'm getting at it, in the beginning he was chasing him. Now he's like, I've got my opportunity before he did. I'm not just talking, I'm doing it, and he's doing it not just by his actions, not just by his talking, but by his actions. So yeah.
And you got to think of it, right?
And I do want to see that fight though sometime in the future.
You got to think about it, right? He's fighting. So this week, Rolando Romero, he's fighting for the WBA interim title. He's fighting Jackson Martinez on the undercard of Romero Angulo versus Dave Benavidez. So he's co-main. So he wins that fight. He's gonna be interim champion. I think who's WBA champion? I think it's WBA. The WBA champion is Lomachenko, right? It's Lomachenko at the moment, and I mean, I'm not sure how that's gonna work. I don't know if we'll get a Lomachenko fight, but either way, he's fighting for an interim title, and that is gonna position him into getting a bigger fight in the future. And I like Rolly because there's fighters who are technically gifted, but they don't have the spirit of a fighter. They don't behave like fighters. And the one thing I think Rolly has going for him that I actually think he has more of than Devin Haney and more of than not Chemical Female, but he has more of it than Rolly, and he has more of it than Haney for sure. It's not even it's not even a question to me. He behaves like a fighter. You may say, BT, what the hell do you mean when you say behave like a fighter? What I mean is, like, when you look at him, right? When you look at how he conducts himself, when you look at like just how he behaves, I'm not saying to be ignorant and be loud and be boisterous. I mean, he can be those things at times, but what I mean is, like, you can look at him and tell that this motherfucker wants to fight. There is no businessman talk. This motherfucker wants to fight.
Yeah, they asked him. I mean, let's get it right. Every boxer that wants to go in the ring wants to get in there and fight. But they asked him, Rolly, and it's not all about Rolly, but the fact that he said in interviews, Rolly, what do you enjoy most about fighting? And he just straight out said, beating people's ass in and hitting them in the face, and breaking their neck. I'm just here for. So he was basically saying, I like to hit and punch, and that's what I'm there to fight. I don't care. I'm ready for it.
Yeah, shout out to my man LA12. He says Jackson Martinez is an undefeated Robert Garcia Boxing Academy fighter. Let's see if Rolly can get through him. Yeah, that's not even a given. Jackson Martinez. I was looking at his I was doing some homework on that fight last night, and from what I could see, like, I think he was a Dominican fighter. I believe he's 19-0 with 6 KOs. So, I mean, I haven't seen his fights, but just looking on paper, it looks like he's a good technical fighter with not great power. But you never know. You can't go by that all the time.
Yeah, we can't go by the record all the time. But I mean, respect that you did. You try to call up somebody else and give your opinion on why you felt about Haney.
Oh man, this man's getting you guys getting raunchy in them comments. Rolly versus Rai Garcia would be dope. Rolly was allegedly doing well sexually with Rai's ex. I mean, I've heard rumblings of that in the boxing world. I can't confirm or deny it, and it's not really my business. But if that is the case, that would definitely like make for a good build up, because I mean, Ryan's gonna be mad. You know what? Because I've heard this, but I'm gonna say this about Ryan Garcia, because boxing, especially if you're like involved in the boxing world as much as I am, you get to kind of hear about things behind the scenes that maybe you guys wouldn't. It's like I've heard a lot about Ryan Garcia that the guy that you see on the camera isn't the guy he really is. I've heard that from more than one person. I've heard it from guys. I've heard it from girls. I mean, the girls I was hanging out this weekend, one of them works for USA Boxing, knew him before he was famous. Yeah. She was telling me all this stuff about him. But then I don't know. I don't take the girls seriously, because sometimes the girls just be hating because he didn't pick them. Right. So I don't know if they were telling the truth.
I mean, the reality is people are going to point fingers at everybody for what they are, who they are. But at the end of the day, BT, is what I always tell you. You only can make that jump.
I haven't met him, so I can't say
until you actually open the book and see it for yourself and be there to actually see what he's all about as a person, whatever. Then you can say what you got to say. You can't just go ahead and just say, well, and let's be real. We don't have to make this about a soap opera about.
No. We just want to see a good ass fight. That's all we want to see.
The story with Rolly and Garcia is basically Rolly chased Garcia when he first came into the scene and wanted to get the fight and called them out and nothing. And Garcia didn't make nothing of it. Blah, 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 blah. I mean, he could have, because he had the opportunity to do that. So Rolly just went on with that and said, you know what? I want to kick some ass, and I'm going to get up to what I'm going to. This weekend I'm going for an interim title, and I'll leave it like that. Whenever you're ready, Garcia, come knocking on my door. I'm knocking lights out.
What a question. I'm not even gonna answer that question. I know the answers, but I'm not gonna say that question. I'm not saying answer that question. You read the question.
What's Pippin?
Who's piping MJP? You know what MJP is?
Michelle
Joy Phelps.
Yeah.
Michelle Joy. I'm not answering that question.
We're not.
This is not the tabloid channel.
Go
I don't want to listen. What they do in their personal time in the bedroom is up to them. She's just gonna keep providing you guys good content. I'm gonna provide you good content, and we're gonna keep it going.
Yeah.
But it's the untouchable True School Sports
Crazy.
Empire.
Yeah.
We are here with Pops. We're talking about Devin Haney right now. It's kind of went to basically
Rolly's, but I think Rolly, like you said, Rolly eventually is gonna come out. And you know what I like about him though? I love his personality.
I love about him. I'm gonna say the one thing I love about Rolly. The one thing I love about Rolly is, listen, you guys may or may not know this. I'm a proud American. I love my country. Okay, and that's not the most popular thing sometimes these days, because people, even the Americans, they want to be all multicultural and they want to rep countries they never even been to, but they don't want to rep America. But you know what? I like Rolly because he's one of the few young fighters in boxing who's a real American patriot. So that's why I fucks with Rolly.
It was funny when he was doing an interview just recently. They were asking him, like, a lot of people that come from whatever country they come from, whether they're actually Mexican or whatever culture you come from or nationality you with. You usually claim that as your state, as who you're from. You take pride in that, and this and that. And Rolly just came out and said, listen, I'm American. I'm not disrespecting red, white, and blue here. And I'm also not disrespecting where I come from Cuba, because I was brought up in Cuba, and I have those are still my legit colors also. But I'm American. And those colors come first before anything else. But I do respect my Cuban counterparts, and I take part in that also.
And if you follow Rolly on Instagram, you catch him on his live sometimes. Sometimes he's ranting about America and how he's a real American, and I like that. I like that because I just feel like people in our not to get like political, but like people in our country right now, like the media's got people brainwashed to kind of hate the country, and we really do have it pretty damn good. So it's just good to see. It's just good to see a young fighter who's representing the Stars and Stripes.
It ain't no better country better than USA, because if it wasn't, you wouldn't be here, whoever you are. So God bless America, and God bless everybody else, and God bless Rolly.
That's it, man. Rural Child Vision. And by the way, shout out to my main man Sam. I hope you're doing well, my friend. Rural Child Vision says, "Is Rolly ready for Lomachenko?" I don't mean. Not yet. I think this fight this weekend is going to give us some good insight into just where he's at the moment, because this is the first, I would say, like true test in his career. When I say true test, I mean like he's fighting a guy that he's undefeated, like he is for interim title. He's co-main event on a notable card on Showtime. So this has a chance to be Rolly's true coming out party.
I mean, I always look at a fighter and I like how they are. What I say is I like the tributes that Rolly has. He's a hard puncher. He's getting better and better as he's going along, and I think. But I don't think he's ready for. I don't think he's ready for the top echelon yet. I think he needs some more priming to do first. Couple more fights or whatever the case may be, to step him up and get him. I don't think he's ready for the Lomas. I don't think he's even ready for the Femos. I don't think. I'll say. I definitely say he could be ready for Garcia. I definitely, that's going to be like for me. But the reason being is because that's a personal fight, and he's really motivated for that. But I think he could beat Garcia. He hits hard, but I don't think he's ready for Fimo, Lomachenko. Those are guys. They're tough.
My man, we gotta give nothing but a massive shout out and much respect to my main man Sam So out there in Manchester. He's been subscribed to the channel.
Bless.
We had him live on one time. I don't remember. He was the British dude from the UK.
We're talking.
But I like Sam. Sam, he says that one thing I wanted to say is that the two lightweights that talk the most are the ones who haven't done anything. Ryan Garcia and Devin Haney. And I was just saying the same thing. I'm like, look, man, I don't understand why you got this.
You gotta walk the walk before you talk the talk.
I don't understand why you got this side of YouTube hyping up Devin Haney. Like look, all respect to Haney. Objectively speaking, I think his career's in a good place, and he'll grow into becoming a fantastic fighter. If you don't step up too early. but literally, like, he ain't done nothing. Okay, Ryan Garcia damn sure ain't done nothing. So my thing is, like, why can't they just fight each other? Why can't they just fight each other? And the good thing is, in regards to that Luke Campbell fight, they were saying today that the winner of that fight is going to be mandatory for Devin Haney's belt. So if Ryan Garcia can beat Luke Campbell, then it becomes mandatory.
Let me tell you, Luke Campbell, when he fought Lomachenko, it wasn't an easy fight for Lomachenko, even though he won the fight. He's going to get problems too.
And same was the case for Linares when he fought Linares.
I think he's going to give a lot of problems to Garcia. If Garcia thinks he's going to just go walk in there with his power and do all those punches he does on Instagram, you better be careful, because Luke Campbell is not coming to play. He's coming here to prove himself after that loss to Lomachenko also.
Keen Mitch says that Rolly talks more than both those guys. But you know what? He might talk more than both those guys. But why is it that Rolly is actually, even though I know it's not a regular world title, it's not a real world title, why is it that he's fighting for the interim belt before Ryan has fought for any sort of title, or before Devin has fought for any sort of title? He's taking fights that are going to position him and prepare him for that world championship level, while Devin Haney is fighting Mason Menard and Antonio Moran, and Ryan Garcia is taking guys up. He's picking up guys from 126, 130, dragging up to 135, and he's knocking them out. So Rolly might talk more than those guys, but he also has more. He also puts more action behind those words than those guys.
Yeah, I mean, let's be honest. Out of those three fighters we just mentioned, who's had the most opportunity to call out who they want to fight and get the fights that they really wanted? And I'm going to say to you that the top two, Haney and Ryan Garcia, have the both. Haney won, being a promoter, one promotes himself and everything, and Garcia being the pretty boy that is Instagram, everybody knows him, and vice versa. He's a pretty boy, golden boy. He's got opportunities too. And neither of those fighters has grabbed their cojones, to my language.
Tell them how you feel, Pops.
Their balls, and actually step up. So we can say whatever we want about Rolly, but Rolly doesn't have the same opportunity that them guys have had to call anybody before Rolly even came into the scene. So you got to put respect to Rolly's name, understand that he's coming from a different place, and he's going to move up and earn it the hard way and get there where he wants to get to. So until Haney and Ryan Garcia can do that, because they've had many opportunities to call out whoever they want to, even call out Rolly, none of them have done it. So you got to put respect to Rolly's name. He's doing it the right way.
Absolutely, man. My man Tommy Macho, he says, well, actually, no, let's go back up a couple of comments. Let's go to Velocity Cruz. Shout out to Velocity Cruz. He says, is Richard Schaefer still in the boxing business? I mean, last time I heard was I know he had a small role in the World Boxing Super Series, but I'm not sure if that's still a thing. So I don't know. I don't know, man. My answer to that question is I'm not 100% sure, but I'm sure he is somewhere along the way. He's involved. Somebody, what's his name? Tommy Macho asked, do I think that Rolly will win this weekend? Now, I haven't watched Jackson Martinez fight. I'm not gonna bullshit you. If he's trained by Robert Garcia and he's undefeated, then we got to look at him as a tough opponent for Rolando Romero. I think he will win, because I just think Rolando Romero he's someone that's gonna be. He's in a gate crash, the lightweight division. That's what I'm saying. He's in a gate crash because everybody's talking about the guys that were built up really well in the amateurs. Ryan Garcia, Shakur, Devin Haney, Fimo. These guys are all products of the American amateur system. As to where Rolly, I think he had like less than 60 amateur fights.
Right.
And this guy's been doing a lot of learning on the job, but he's been sparring a lot of people.
So will you say he's a sleeper?
Huge sleeper.
Yeah.
Do not sleep on Rolly. You guys do not sleep on Rolly. You'd be foolish not to.
Right.
The kid's a fighter through and through. Absolutely. What do you think about Rolly this weekend? Like, how are you feeling about him being in the co-main event this weekend?
I think it's great. I think he's very confident. Every time I see him, no matter what he's doing, he's always confident to himself. And it's funny you say this, because they will even ask him, like, what do you think when you're going to get your knockout for this weekend's fight? He said they asked him to predict what you think. He said, what do you think? First round. So he's a very confident guy. He doesn't care what anybody says about him. He's focused on what he's got to get down. So I don't know much about the other fighters, so I can't really say who's going to win. I just know more about Rolly. So good luck to him. It's an opportunity he got. I'm going to have to go Rolly, because I'm not saying that I'm right, but I'm just saying because I know more of him and I've seen more of him. I'm just going to have to do that until I do my research or until I look into what Martinez is all about. But that's not taking no credit away from Martinez. Also, he's there for a reason.
We got LA 12. He says, hey, BT, isn't Tank training in Vegas where Rolly trains at the Mayweather gym? and wasn't really just making fun of Tank on IG Live with Tiafimo, who won the sparring. Yeah, well, I don't know if he might be training at Mayweather's gym. I don't know, man. These guys train at different gyms all the time. But I do know what the way Mayweather gym does things, like when certain fighters are getting ready for a big fight, they have like their certain times. So like I know, because I know people who know him. I know Angelo Leo, when he was doing this camp for Stephen Fulton / Tremaine Williams, he had a specific time at the Mayweather gym and there was nobody else there, which is like that was his time. So I'm pretty sure that's probably what they're doing for Tank. But I know if Rolly saw him, there would be no problems. Rolly loves to spar. He don't even like training. He just likes to spar.
Wow.
It's kind of like the James Toney type thing he got going on. But it's the untouchable True School Sports Empire. Your boy BT with Pops. I wanted to kind of switch gears heading into the second hour of being live. I wanted to get into some of the boxing news, and then we're gonna wrap it up after we get through some of the news. So let's just get into. Actually, hold on. Sam asked me, "Damn, Wolves are out. Are you still following footy?" I'm still following footy, but I'm not following like the Champions League or the FA Cup or any of that stuff. I'm just waiting for the transfer window to start, and I'm waiting for my Blue Boys, the Everton Football Club, to start getting rid of some of the dead wood that we have on our team from our last 4 managers. So yeah. No, I'm still following it, but I'm not like
big on it.
I'm not following like the other team as much as I am Everton. If anything, the only thing I really follow these days is boxing, because that's what I have to follow because I have my channel. That's my main focus, and then baseball, because baseball season started here in America, and then little bit of basketball here and there, but footy not as much right now. And then we're gonna switch gears, going to the news in a second. But one last comment, let's get to it. LA Tough says Pops retired Raekwon Bell boxing.
He's collecting the pension. He's so crazy.
Yeah.
Well, he's got a new name now, doesn't he?
Yeah, he's brother boxing talk now. So
brother, he sounds like a pastor now.
Yeah, my dad turned Raekwon Bell into a pastor. He turned him into a Pentecostal pastor throwing holy water at people.
Yeah, well, you told me that.
Speaking in tongues and shit.
Yeah.
Anyway, we're going to switch gears because there is a lot of interesting boxing news going on. We'll start off with the first piece of news. Regis Prograis, you're one of your favorite fighters, Dad. Rougarou had a chance to meet him in Dallas. Great guy. A name in the division. They have announced that he's separating with Lou DiBella and DiBella Entertainment. They're in the process of finalizing their separation. This doesn't really come as any surprise to anybody who's been following Lou DiBella this year at all, because Lou DiBella, I mean, he was in Miami at the Eddie Hearn show,
right? And
he was bitching and moaning about how nobody wants to work with him because they don't like him. But like, I don't know. Yeah. He felt some type of way about it, and now Regis Prograis is now probably, I would say, he's the boxing's most sought after free agent, because this is a guy that was a former world champion. He's a top name in the division, exciting fighter.
Still is,
someone that when he's fighting, you want to see him fight.
When he's on, he's on.
When he's on, he's on. You know what he says? He said, "I'm the effing best. These little boys at 140 can't fuck with me." Remember when he said that? So now they're looking at what they're gonna do with his career. He left Lou DiBella Promotion Entertainment, and they left on amicable terms. He said that everything's still positive between him and Regis. He still believes, and that they had a good run together, and that he's looking forward to watching him do big things in the future. And that they'll always be cool. So it's good to see that a guy like DiBella, who, depending on who you talk to in boxing, doesn't have the best reputation, but it's good to see that him and his fighter are leaving on solid terms.
I mean, at the end of the day, he has Prograis have so much respect for DiBella, because DiBella brought him to where he's at and got him to the fights that he needed. So, I mean, it's a mutual separation between the two.
Now, people are speculating, where is Regis going to go? What's his next move? And honestly, there's really only one option for him as far as I'm concerned. There is no other option but Top Rank. There's no other option.
Wow.
All the fights he wants to get are all the Top Rank fighters. Josh Taylor's a Top Rank fighter. Jose Ramirez is a Top Rank fighter. Those fights that he's going to want, even if he wanted to fight a guy like Victor Postal, these are all guys that are working with Top Rank. So I think for Regis, it's a no-brainer. You sign with Top Rank. You position yourself for those in-house fights, and you train your ass off in the gym, and you put yourself back into contention as one of the best 140. Well, he is one of the best 140 pounds in the world, pounders in the world, but I know he's a guy who's very competitive, which is what I like about him. He's gonna want to be the best 140 pounder in the world, and I think the best way to get those fights is to sign with Top Rank, in my opinion.
And more so now that he lost to Josh Taylor, so he's gonna be more motivated now and making these changes like he's doing. It's gonna be give him more hunger to succeed even more.
Absolutely, so yeah, I wish Rogaru nothing but the best. It's interesting news coming out of the whole Lou DiBella thing. And he's look. I not only met him one time, but he was really cool to me. So I would actually call Regis Prograis a friend of the channel, even though we don't really talk.
I like him.
He's a friend of the channel. I like Regis Prograis.
I like him. I always liked him when he fought. I like what he brings to the table when he goes into that ring.
Absolutely. We can't also we shouldn't rule out Eddie Hearn either. He has fought on the zone before, Regis Prograis.
Yeah,
so
that's true. Yeah,
it is possible that Matchroom could snatch him up. So we'll look out for that. But that's the news. Regis Prograis is now a free agent. And he has left DiBella Entertainment. So that's one piece of news. Another piece of news that I thought was pretty interesting. Okay, now we don't really get to hear about this guy too often. All right, this guy is the forgotten man at 115.
Yeah.
But Pretty Boy Jerwin Ancajas, the IBF super flyweight champion, he's pretty much stated that he wants to unify with Joshua Franco. Now the Professor, as he's called, who just picked up that WBA regular title against Andrew Maloney. He's in line for some big fights. They're talking about him maybe fighting Cholatito. They're talking about him maybe fighting Gallo Estrada, and I think he would actually have a good chance against both. Good young fighter, but this fight right here, I actually think would make the most sense, and I think it'd be great for not just Franco, but more so Ancajas, because this guy Ancajas, man, 3-4 years ago when he became champion, whenever it was, when he beat McJoe Arroyo, I thought this guy had it in him to go on and become the best fighter in the weight class.
Top of the top.
And he just kind of faded into obscurity. Him and Cal Yafai fought on the same card in Fresno on a Jose Ramirez undercard. They fought on the same card.
Yeah.
They were trying to build that fight up. That fight never came to fruition. So that fell through. Maybe he could fight. Maybe Joe Renakas could fight Cal Yafai, because I don't know if Cal's gonna move up, but if Cal stays, maybe this could be Cal's chance at another world title. But as far as this fight right here, I think it'd be a great TV fight. And Kaz is a southpaw fighter, good punching power, throws lots of punches. The Professor is a very technical, poised fighter, but can be aggressive when he needs to be. Unification fight, the Philippines versus a Mexican-American fighter.
Yeah.
I mess with it.
A big good fight, for sure.
So you excited for that fight?
I like Ancajas, though. I like Ancajas.
I mean, he's one of Manny Pacquiao's champions.
Yeah, so I really do like him.
He's flying the flag high for Manny Pacquiao promotions. Him, Mike Planilla, Casemiro, all them guys.
Yeah.
Apparently, Franco has a rematch obligation, according to LA 12.
Okay.
So yeah, that's another piece of news. So just be on the lookout for that, guys. He hasn't fought He hasn't fought since last December again when he fought Miguel Gonzalez. So he hasn't been active in 2018 or in 2020, I should say. He wasn't very active. He hasn't been very active, period.
Right.
In terms of getting those big fights. So I want to see Kaz really become somebody that we think about more. Because I forget about him sometimes.
Be more noticed.
Yeah, because he's a good fighter. He's someone that deserves to be noticed.
Yeah.
Another piece of boxing news, is Peter Nelson, the man that was responsible for the death of HBO. It's been reported that Peter Nelson is leaving HBO in the coming weeks, and he said that he plans to leave within the next 30 to 60 days. Obviously, he's most well known to boxing fans because he was a guy that was the head of the network starting in 2011 when he was the vice president in 2011. He took over for the network by the end of 2015, and that's when the death of HBO kind of started. Yeah. This is a guy, Peter Nelson, who has a background in ballroom and all that stuff. And now he leaves the sport, a native of Newton, Massachusetts. What do you make of it?
I mean, I'm glad I don't care where he's from. I'm just pissed off that he took off like HBO. HBO 3 I felt like was one of the best channels out there when it came to commentating fights and following fights, live fighting. I don't see nobody that can ever top that team.
I mean, this is a guy in Peter Nelson who I don't think he ever just understood how boxing worked or boxing programming, because he comes from just so you know, in case you don't know, he comes he has a business degree from I think Harvard. Mm-hmm. He's a Harvard graduate, and he got his start in entertainment business by doing a lot of ballroom stuff, like operas and shit like that. So I just thought it was a good fit.
Yeah.
When boxing left HBO, he's continued to oversee their other programming with the shows like 24/7 and Real Sports with Brian Gumbel and The Shop with LeBron James. But
still not the same.
It's not the same, and now he's no longer part of the network. Period. So
who knows? Maybe that we should brought back HBO. Go come fill the shoes.
Rick Glaser had a line. I'm gonna pull it up for you. Rick, my main man, Rick Glaser. Boxing Insider. We had him in here one time. Yeah. I gotta pull it up. I saw him post something about Peter Nelson because, he thinks Peter Nelson's trash as far as being at his job. Yeah, because he did such a horrible job when he was the director of programming at HBO. But Rick Glaser posted on his Facebook. He said that I quote, "If Peter Nelson owned a funeral home, people would stop dying." So that was a great line. We know Rick is the king of one-liners. So Peter Nelson is out of HBO altogether.
Thank God, get him out of there. I don't care if he's from Massachusetts.
Who knows? Maybe this might even be the first domino that might need to fall, and maybe not now, but maybe within 5 to 10 years we see HBO come back now that Peter Nelson's out there. Because
who knows?
I don't think with him there. Once Ken Hirschman was the guy that was the director of programming before him. Once Ken Hirschman left HBO, Peter Nelson really never seemed to make boxing a priority as far as their sports programming. So it is what it is there. Last two pieces of news, and then we're gonna head on out of here. ESPN, in conjunction with Top Rank, has announced a fight that will take place on the undercard of Joe Smith Jr. versus Elliot Alvarez on August 22nd. And this fight may not be of interest to many of you, but it's a bit of interest to me because it involves somebody that I know personally. It involves somebody that trains here in South Florida. And that fight is Rob Brandt. Okay, Rob Brandt will be taking on Vitaly Koplienko on August 22nd. Now, I don't know Rob Brandt personally, but I know Vitaly Koplienko. Now, for those of you who don't know Vitaly Koplienko, Koplienko is a fighter that his record stands at 28-2 with 16 KOs. This is a guy in Koplienko that hasn't boxed in a professional fight since May of 2019 when he lost a split decision 10-rounder to Stephen Butler over there in Las Vegas. Koplienko's 36. They're going to meet slightly above the middleweight limit. And this is Vitaly's last chance at anything in boxing. Vitaly had a fight many years ago with Willie Monroe. Okay. And he didn't win that fight. But he's been training here at the New Warriors Boxing Gym in South Florida. I had a chance to interview him. The interview hasn't dropped yet because I've had it sitting on my dashboard for like 2 months. But I'm gonna drop it. I'm gonna drop it now. I might as well. Yeah. This is his last chance to do anything in boxing, I think. Against a guy in Rob Brandt who is a name. Rob Brandt's been there with Murata. He's been there with Jürgen Bremer. He's fought on Showbox many times. I think this is a good opportunity for Koplienko. Yeah. I had a chance to see him spar a couple of guys. He's improved. His right hand's gotten better. Yeah. Things like that. So you know what? I'm going to be very hyped for this card because I want to see Vitaly Koplienko win because he's low-key been a quiet fixture of the South Florida boxing scene for the last 4 or 5 years. He's been training at Fifth Street Gym. He's been training at
He's a very skilled boxer, power.
He's a solid. I wouldn't say he's incredibly skilled, but he's definitely improved from the last time I seen him. He's been working very hard, and I think Rob Brandt's a very interesting fight. And kind of to go back to Rob Brandt, he had a fight against another guy who trained in South Florida that was scheduled for earlier this year, and another guy I interviewed in Habib Ahmed, and that fell through. So I just find it funny how the guys that I've been interviewing were supposed to fight Rob Brandt, but interesting fight. Koplienko is kind of like one of your straight up and down Eastern European fighters. Slightly more athletic than the prototype Eastern European fighter. But I would say his best attribute from what I've seen recently is his right hand. And I think if Rob Brandt has any problems defending his right hand in this fight, he's going to be in some big trouble. So I'm looking forward to that fight. I'm really looking forward to that fight and that card overall. So shout out to Top Rank for making that fight. And the last piece of news that I want to get to before we wrap up this live is we have, what's his name? Joshua Corte, the son, or no, not the son, the nephew of the great Ike Corte, one of the best fighters ever come out of Ghana. Had that great fight, Oscar De La Hoya, back in the 90s. Amateur star Joshua Corte has, in fact, signed with a friend of mine. He signed with Peter Kahn, the manager here in South Florida. He signed with Peter Kahn. I honestly haven't even read this article, so I'm learning about him as much as you are. But Peter Kahn's a hell of a manager. This is a guy that I've been around boxing for upwards of 20, 30 years. He was nominated for Manager of the Year last year. He manages a lot of name fighters like George Kambosos Jr., Manuel Tego, guys like that. Doing a good job with them. But yeah, apparently Joshua Corte, he was actually supposed to represent Ghana in the 2021 Olympics. And let me see, what was his amateur record was 89-5. And he will fight in the same weight class where his uncle reigned as a champion for almost 5 years. So he's going to be, I think, 160 pounder. I think Corte was a 60 pounder. So should be interesting to see. Joshua is 24 years old at the moment, and he's going to be someone that to look out for. It's always fun to see what fighters are going to do. And Peter Kahn had some quotes I want to read you guys about him. He said, I quote, he said, he's such a great guy. He's talking about Peter Kahn. He's such a great guy. He gave me some extra money for my expenses. And then that's what it is. So, for those of you who don't know Peter Kahn, most of his fighters train out of Sweatbox Gym in Davie. So odds are I'm probably gonna run into Joshua Corte at some point. So interesting news out in the boxing world. Joshua Corte signs Peter Kahn, 24 years old, 89-5 amateur. Be on the lookout for him.
It's great. I mean, it's good news. To have him come turn pro quarterly, to go ahead and do what he has to do and sign with a manager like him. What more do you want? That's
it, man. So I think we're gonna end it at that. But what I wanted to say to you guys before we end the live is that I want to first of all thank everybody for all the support, all the love, all that good stuff. Things are going great here on True School Sports. The interview with Wilder had a great response. I got some other interviews that I'm working on. I've always got things going on. You can ask my dad how much time I spend on this damn computer.
No, he's always busy doing something.
I can't take like that. Tell him I was gone for the whole weekend, and what happened?
Back on his work. Behind on his work already.
Yeah. So
it's like constantly, with boxing, everything's always news and people don't realize.
I went to the beach for 2 days. Yeah. I haven't gone to the beach. I don't know how long. Some female amateur boxers came to South Florida. That I'm one of them, which I was very attracted to. So I figured I would spend some time with her, have fun.
You had a great time.
Had a great time. Nothing crazy happened. But honestly, I wish I didn't do it now because now I'm like way behind my work. So
yeah, that's part of grinding. Staying with boxing, you can't even blink for 1 second. You never know what's going to happen. And before we probably get off this live, there's probably something else going on.
Yeah, in fact, after this live, I'm probably going to shoot about 4 or 5 videos, and then I'm going to watch baseball. Okay. Yeah, so
busy.
Very busy man. But be on the lookout for the live fight reactions this weekend. We got, obviously, Benavidez versus Angulo. That's coming out. Check out the Romero Angulo training footage I just dropped. Check out the Wilder strength and conditioning coach interview that I just dropped. Make sure you go buy yourself some True School Sports merch. Because we got t-shirts, hoodies, and sweatshirts in that True School Sports Teespring store. You can find that at the bottom of all my comment sections. They're all there. So support the channel in that way. That will really help greatly. You get yourself a nice shirt like this. We got them there on Teespring. All colors, all kinds of colors. So do that. What else is there? That's what it is. So with that being said, I'm gonna let you guys go. You guys have a blessed day. God bless everybody who watched the live. And like I say in every single one of these videos, you can love me or you can hate me, but I'm just kidding. So until next time, take care, guys.